Welcome to Starfleet Boy. Audience, please attend carefully. There are lots of spoilers for Star Trek in general. Recording my audio.
Right.
Everybody recording?
We've completely cut you off. You were saying something.
Wait. Before that, though. 1, 2, 3, clap. 1, 2, 3, clap. 1, 2, 3, clap. Nice. That last one was epic. All right, now you can say whatever you want. I'll just cut it out.
No, I'll just say at some point I'll run out because I got to give him some Region 2 Blu-rays that I want him to test.
Is this my favorite of your godsons?
Yeah.
Do you only have one godson?
I only have... This is my favorite... This is your favorite of my cousins. Yes.
Of your cousins.
Yes.
Very good.
So...
Well, please tell him hello from a distance.
From a distance, yes.
When you see him.
Right. Yeah, I got to go put on a mask and everything.
Do you know what time that's going to be roughly, so we could kind of?
They
have an
told me
idea?
they're on their way now, so...
Oh, okay.
I'll just...
All right, well...
We'll go
This will
and...
be a new experience on Starfleet Boy. The audience will just... It'll be cool. We'll figure it out.
I'll turn my camera off or whatever. And then,
Because of that, you get to do the summary. So I'm going to introduce the show, and then you'll do the summary of this episode.
Oh, you're not going to like my summary.
Oh,
it's okay.
oh.
I like it when I don't like it. All right, and we're back on another exciting episode of Starfleet Boy, the final run, the countdown. We're racing towards the end of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
This is
It's
the
so
episode
scary.
that begins the final run.
This is it. This is the
That's it.
episode.
This is the
This is
glorious
the episode.
episodes that puts us on
I'm
that
so
final
excited.
final
We're
countdown.
doing Star Trek: Next Generation Season 7, Episode 23.
Oh, who the hell? No one's gonna search this.
No,
It's called
called
Emergence.
Emergence. That's all.
Emergence, aka
It's 22, I think.
As the
No, you're
doctor
right. It's
refers-
23.
It's
I
23.
knew it.
It is.
It's
It's 23.
ingrained in my brain. As the doctor referred to it, the alternate title is Chihuli's Baby.
Did I come up with that? I didn't.
You came up with that. You said the Enterprise had Chihuli's Baby.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Sean,
It
are
looks
you
like
familiar with
the
the
artist
artist
Chihuly?
Chihuly?
No, I don't even know how to spell that.
Look up Dale Chihuly on the internet.
Dale, what? How do I spell the rest?
DALE, and then when you start typing Chihuly, the internet will finish it for you. I promise.
CH.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's the Chihuly part that I don't. Okay, American
Yes.
sculptor.
There we go. Yes.
Glass
Alright.
sculptor from Seattle, actually, where I used to live.
Oh,
Oh,
okay, because he does
I didn't know
the intertwining penises.
You really have penises on your brain. It's always a dildo or a penis.
Well, I'm gonna share my screen.
Oh, please do.
This is what the Google has given me.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that.
I'm sorry to say, but I mean it ain't
It's the
spiky,
Emergence-
but
It's the Emergence that came from the Enterprise. That
so
one is
this
special.
is there.
this is him from the Mirror Universe.
Wow.
No,
Mirror universe.
he
That's
actually
funny.
is missing an eye, if I'm not mistaken, right? Isn't that?
Yes.
Oh, look
yes.
at that one. All right. Well, I don't know if we're allowed to show too much of Chihuli's art, but audience, go check it out because it looks just like the Enterprise's child.
Let me just say
I thought
that
we were gonna
if-
make the
if-
doctor give the summary.
if I were as talented as him with the sculpting and the glass and the colors, and I were also missing an eye, it would look quite extravagant. I would do something to make it look very colorful and very, I don't know, three-dimensional or something. I would use that.
That almost makes me wish tomorrow you'll change careers, go into glass making.
I thought you were gonna
have
say
a
you wanted me to
terrible-
lose an eye.
Have a terrible accent. No, I was gonna say have a terrible accent in your career that makes you lose an eye, just so I could see what that product. The end
I'm
result
gonna
of
show
that
one
video.
more of his works because
Oh, wow.
okay, this reminded me of TNG the game.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh my gosh, you're 100% right.
There you go,
I
that's it.
wonder if Chihuli's a Star Trek fan.
He might be.
Now we have to find out. We
Might
have
be.
to know.
So
I
is-
feel like that's something.
All right.
that we're
And
gonna have
on
to
that
discuss.
note, we encounter the Enterprise D in space once again. I can't do the summary. I don't remember.
Okay, I'll do it. I'll do the summary. We find out that Jean-Luc loves to mentor Data, which we've seen before
Oh, that's
in
right, they're
his
doing
pursuits of acting.
Sparrow's book. That's right.
And it's actually a really cool moment, and it touched me very much, especially in the time of Picard, with how Picard's central kind of relationship seemed to be that of, this is arguable perhaps, but that of Data and Jean-Luc, and the results of that relationship. So I love this scene. I love that little scene. So yeah. Anyways, it starts out with that, and then it goes batshit crazy. We find out that Dr. Crush.
You have to describe. He's performing Shakespeare. You didn't say what the scene was.
He's
Yes.
doing
Yes.
the role of Prospero from the I wanted to say Prospero's Books, which is actually a Peter Greenaway film, but it's the
Oh,
Tempest.
that's what I said. That's right.
Yes.
What the? Oh, got it. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But now we've dropped so many references in just the opening of the summary. The summary is like laden with reference. We had Chihuly, we had Peter Greenaway, we have Shakespeare. It's the best summary so far. Anyways,
Continue with that, and I shall return.
oh, it's time.
Yes, go
You're
ahead.
gonna miss
Continue.
this.
Continue.
It's good.
I'm
You're gonna miss the summary.
summary.
You timed this
Wow.
perfectly, didn't you?
Perfectly.
You let me go on about the art.
He's gonna be back. All right. This is so fun, audience. We expected this. Oh, we're gonna watch. There he goes with his bag of goodies for his godson. All right. Anyways, all of a sudden, it feels so weird to give the summary when one of the guests is not here. But
You won't be done by the time he's back.
can we take a break from the summary just to piss him off, and really
So that when he
quickly
gets
talk
back,
about
you're gonna have to-
Father's thing that he's doing about pitch a Star Trek idea. Are you gonna be able to participate? Or are you gonna try?
We
it
can
out?
do that. I won't be able to do a video. Okay, so you want context first?
Yeah, sure.
Text trick. Fathery and what is it? Is it Dale? It's Dale.
Dave, isn't it?
Dave and Steven.
Yes.
That's what it is. Anyway, the Text Trick podcasters, the crew of Text Trick, they're organizing something which is basically a create your own Star Trek kind of thing, and they I don't know if they're sending it out to just fans or like content creators, but anyway, they've got this thing where you create your own Star Trek show. You give them basically context and kind of the idea, what you would want to do. You elaborate on which characters, what the name of the show is, and then they'll feature that on their podcast and talk about it, and they'll kind of explain what you explained, and then they might dive deeper into it. I guess proposing new ideas or explaining how they feel about it, and it sounds really, really fun.
It does.
I did it. I won't be doing a video. That's the thing. I know that. So Boat Rick, our friend PJ, already put out a video about that.
I know. I'm excited to see it. I saw that.
But I won't be doing a video. I don't have time. I still have my videos to do, so I can't. I'm overbooked video wise. But I've already sent in my filled out form. I've sent out my idea, my concept, one of my many ideas, to him.
Yes, you're an aspiring Star Trek writer.
I keep the best ideas close to me because I know that if we send them and if someone at CBS reads them, then they can't do them. So
It's true.
you've got to what we've got to do is spray crap ideas around the internet so that.
What if an idea is so good that CBS is like, we have to do this regardless, and so they hire you to shepherd the idea?
That would be amazing. I don't think that will ever happen though.
But it could happen. I mean, there's the possibility of that,
There's
right?
the possibility.
All right. Well, that's your goal, buddy.
That's why I'm writing my short tricks. My
Yes,
short tricks episode.
I know. I get to know about it. So that's cool. I think I'm definitely gonna try to do a video. It's very easy for me because Humbert and I, the Doctor who's gone off, created a show back in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, called Star Trek Pasteur. Way before anyone thought to do a spin-off of TNG. Yeah, so we did a show called Star Trek Pasteur, and it starred, of course, the lovely Gates McFadden as the main character, Captain Beverly Crusher, and it took place in the same kind of, not too far in the future. It would have taken place in that 14-year time period that they keep referring to in Star Trek Picard, like the 14 years ago, that like era.
I'm going to say something that might be news, like a news exclusive on this channel.
Whoa.
It might turn out to be, and if it does turn out to be true, this would be so cool. But if it doesn't, people will forget about it, so it's fine.
Okay.
I recently posted a thing that about Star Trek Lower Decks, asking like which kind of cameos people would like to see, like who would return in Lower Decks, and I tagged the Lower Decks creator Mike McMahon in the picture. All right, I didn't want him to get necessarily inundated with notifications, but I thought it would be good for him to kind of know what people enjoy, what people like. I thought it would be interesting for him to be tagged in the conversation. You're back. I'm going to finish this. Mike McMahon only liked, to my knowledge, one response to all of the response that tweet got, and it was someone proposing that the little insect thingamajigs from the season 1 TNG finale return.
Oh.
That insect race. And he liked. That is the only tweet, to my knowledge, that he liked.
Chris Judge, right? Did Chris Judge post that, or
I
who
don't.
was that?
I don't know who said they should come
thought
back. It is. It's the Trick Collector.
Yes, so that's awesome.
And
oh my gosh.
That's the only one that Mike McMahon liked, which means either he just thought it was fun, or maybe he's going to find a way to bring them back in a comedic manner, or just bring them back. There'll be a thread. I like that because Mike McMahon's a TNG fan. He does some deep cut TNG. So.
Well, yeah, he's got those cool accounts. All right, well, guess what, Doctor? You didn't miss any of the summary because we paused the summary and we talked about something completely different. So
I have terrible news. That was a false alarm.
What?
Yeah. So I will have to leave once again. That was a false.
What?
Because I'm wearing these things, so I thought they were saying, "Oh, he's here," but no, it was something else.
All right, I'm going to quickly do the rest of the summary. So then we find out everything goes batshit crazy. We found out that Dr. Crusher is a huge fan of the Orient Express. So then we get Shakespeare, we get the Orient Express, Poirot, not really. No. And we also, I know we don't get Poirot.
Not at all.
And then we get the Enterprise going crazy and doing all kinds of nutty things, and we find out what's happened is that somehow, and I forget the reason how, and I just saw the episode, so I don't know why I forgot it, but somehow the Enterprise created an emergent intelligence, and then it separated from the Enterprise and then went off and, became a child of the galaxy, as so many entities have done on TNG. And when asked why he let this thing go when it could potentially be dangerous, Captain Picard laughs it off and just basically says well, it came from us, how bad could it be?
Didn't take into account all the sexual fantasies that people play out in the holodecks.
That's why you thought of penises. So this giant penis sculpture is floating around space with all the sexual fantasies of the crew of the Enterprise in its
that
memory.
Sounds like a much better episode than what I saw.
All right, there, we did the summary. I feel satisfied.
I've never liked this episode.
Neither have
I have never liked this episode, and it frustrated me even more when I did my rewatch recently that it was placed, because I had never really realized it was placed so close to the end. I was like, we're nearing the end of The Next Generation, and this is what you give us. Mm-hmm. Though I will say one thing. For the first time in the many times that I've watched this thing, I realized that there is a reason why the emergent life form comes to be. It's not just, oh look, it's been however many years the Enterprise has been active, the emergent life comes from. It's because they went through a specific nebula or something. They went through a specific anomaly that had things attach themselves to the ship There's like these
How did I miss that?
micro
Every single
thingies.
time I've ever seen this episode, I've never. And I swear to you, I just.
It's because
watched
the
it right
episode
before the show.
emphasizes on the wrong things, aka everything that happens in the holodeck. Like all of that is just annoying to me. Where we should focus on the sciencey thing. They explain it as they go through like an anomaly, and the anomaly left traces on the ship, and it's those emergent thingies that started blending with the ship and the knowledge of the ship. And so I was like, okay, I prefer that. I prefer that it's a one-off situation than like eventually every ship just forms its own life form. I hate that idea, that concept so much.
I never really thought of it that way, but you nailed it when you said they focus too much on the holodeck. I think that the show wanted to, the show makers wanted to give a last. Seems to be like a holodeck episode every season, right? And I feel like we haven't had one yet in season 7, right? Like this was the holodeck episode.
Doesn't one with Worf's brother count as a holodeck episode?
Not really.
Yeah, they're using the holodeck.
That's a good holodeck episode.
Yeah, it's actually using the holodeck in
they're using it as a tool.
But
that's good.
But this one, it's like it starts in the it's like another it's like a you know, and what's kind of bad about it is that like why is it that whenever the holodeck episodes go crazy we get like a new we get Moriarty, we get like, you know, we get the Chihuly penis sculpture, you know, as we're gonna call it inanely on Starfleet Boy because of Sean. But it seems like the holodeck it spawned the disease in the Naked Now. Like the holodeck's just it's like a chaos maker. It's
masks involves the holodeck. I think, doesn't it?
That's right. Never mind that. But it's not really the holodeck. Actually,
it's not a holodeck-oriented thing.
The whole ship becomes like a.
I was thinking that I was thinking about masks. I was thinking, you know, the ship just went through this traumatic experience of being reassembled into, you know, that floating temple or whatever, and then the crew just pretty much ripped it apart when they de-evolved and parts of the Enterprise were heavily damaged.
I forgot it was torn apart. It was like destroyed on the inside.
So
we were talking about that.
Yes, I was in my head as I was watching the episode. I thought to myself, it would have been interesting if there had been a little continuity thrown in, and maybe Geordi could have thrown a line off like, you know, maybe the ship is just getting sick of us. I mean, this is the Enterprise's way of getting rid of us because
that's good stuff.
I don't know how I would feel
grief
if Masks and Emergence were connected. I mean, I pretty much dislike both episodes. I don't know how I would feel if they were one big storyline.
Oh, you weren't on Masks, were you? We love
but then it would have completed like a trifecta of episodes you don't like. It would have been, it would have been great, right? Come on. No, I don't know. I hate this episode. Sean's right. I resent it for it being the last holodeck story. I feel like they wanted to give us one more holodeck story, and this is the best they could do. It was just a rehash and a recycling of a lot of things we've already seen, including using the standing sets. Those standing sets that Paramount shows always use, where the ones they used in Times Arrow, the New York City sets. I'm kind of tired of seeing those.
I wish that the whole episode was Prospero's, not Prospero's books, but The Tempest. I wish they had just done something really crazy, and in season 7 you just had a whole episode where Picard was coaching Data on how to act in the Tempest.
He's kind of a dick, though. He lets him go throughout the entire scene and falls asleep, and then comments on the lighting. Like he couldn't.
I noticed a different thing. I think he focused on the performance from a voice perspective. He was listening, and Data thought his attention. You know, you could tell he's like sitting there and he's like listening, and he complains. That's why I love that scene. He's like, Data, I can't see you, like, you know, so I'm just listening to your performance, kind of.
Okay.
And then Data's like, what do you mean? Like, it's very accurate. Like, I created the best, and it's true. It's a good movie set. Like, it's a Kenneth Branagh worthy little vignette there, with the light, with the torches and the costume and everything. And I wish Kenneth Branagh had been on Star Trek or would direct a Star Trek film. I really think with all my heart that if Kenneth Branagh directs an episode of Picard, a Star Trek film, whatever, it would transform Star Trek in like the most extraordinary way. I don't know, you don't know this about me, but to me, Thor, for the longest time, the first Thor movie held the spot of the best Marvel film. I kind of looked down on Marvel films back then. And Thor, when Thor came out, I was nuts. I went apeshit.
That's an interesting take.
Yeah, it was going crazy. It's because I think Kenneth Branagh brought something theatrical and just like fun and like, I don't know, he made it seem plausible in a way that it hadn't been before. And I just think that like Kenneth Branagh is exactly what Star Trek needs right now.
So you enjoyed his,
all due respect to everyone else.
You enjoyed his Murder on the Orient Express then that he did recently?
I loved it.
No, I did not.
I don't love it the best of all the murder.
Okay, wait a minute. Doctor, do you not like it because it is yet again Murder on the Orient Express and we've seen that movie done a million times?
That's
or is
not...
Okay. Because at this point, like, everyone knows the twist, right? And everyone knows the resolution of the story.
Right. I thought... I didn't like the... there were elements that Kenneth Branagh added, like him stepping on poop and stuff. There were just certain weird...
That was weird. You're right. That's
choices
that
he made that took you out of the story.
Okay.
It reminded me of that French film Pret-a-Porter, which had a little stepping in poop gag.
I've never seen that, I don't think.
We're not recommending it.
Okay.
At all.
Fair enough.
You put the we in that one. You
I'm speaking on your behalf as well.
You're like, no, we don't. We are not.
We are not.
It wasn't just speaking to me; it was speaking to everyone.
In the theater?
Everyone listening to this.
Did you go see that? Did you go see that movie?
No,
in the theater with me? Oh, okay.
Maybe. I don't know now. How did I fall for that one?
I don't know.
How did I fall for that one?
It could only have been
will you be seeing the sequel? Because they're already preparing the sequel to that.
I have to admit I will, because I am a fan of Poirot and I love Kenneth Branagh. I didn't particularly take to his version with a really elaborate mustache, beard, goatee, whatever that thing he was wearing. I'm hoping that maybe he'll tone it down a bit. Death on the Nile is a good story.
You can't compete. I can't remember his name, but you can't compete with the Brett of the Poirots.
But who and who is your Brett of the Poirot?
It's the series Poirot.
Chusette.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
I can't. But anyways, he's who's your Brett?
I have to admit, I grew up with Peter Ustinov.
I forgot that Peter Ustinov. That's right.
So I agree that Chusette is the better actor, and his are the definitive. He is the Brett, but I have and Murder on the Orient Express didn't even have Peter Ustinov. It had this guy who's in Skyfall. Oh God, what's his name? That he passed away. The one who plays the caretaker in the house. Oh crap! But he was the original film Poirot. But I'm taking this. Well, no, I'm going to bring it back to the episode.
It is relevant. There is a reference to the Murder on the Orient Express.
Yes.
Go on.
No, that's true. And one of the things that two of the things I enjoyed about the episode, I will give two things I enjoyed. One was there was a conversation between Crusher and Picard, correct, about the Orient Express?
Yes, he was surprised that she was into it.
Yeah, I
he
thought...
remarked that he was surprised about it, and she's like, oh, I love it for the mystery and the excitement and all that stuff.
Yeah, in my head, I was like, oh, I wish we'd seen an episode where Crusher is involved in a train murder scenario. That would have been cool. That would have been in an episode of Pasteur.
That's the
There's
story.
100% idea for our long ago
Pasteur show.
Star Trek Pasteur show.
Yeah.
Which
she could have been the female Poirot. And then the other thing I liked was...
I think Gates McFadden could totally pull that off as well, by the way.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
She could do it.
I like the actor.
It's David Suchet, by the way.
David
Peter
Suchet.
Ustinov is mentioned among Kenneth Branagh as the notables.
He is.
Well, he's the Poirot that I know, because I know this thing is before my time. I think the David Suchet shows.
I'll be right back.
But
all right,
that's the Poirot that I used to watch when I was a kid with my mum.
Oh, I like how you say it. You so
Hercule
proper.
Poirot.
Ah, yes.
though he is, he's not French though.
He's
Monsieur
not.
Poirot. No, he's from Belgium.
That's right. Well, isn't Belgium like kind of like a French sympathetic French colony type? Isn't there like a link? No.
No, I wouldn't say that.
French friends, aren't they friends of France?
No. Well, everyone's friends. Everyone's friends.
Okay.
In the European Union. Right?
But you're right. He is Belgian. I forgot that little fact about him. Good. Wow, that was a great sidebar. But we didn't. This is so weird that the Doctor just left twice.
How many false alerts do you think he's gonna have?
I hope this one's the real deal. This is the most unprofessional. We're at the 7th season of Starfleet Boy, and this is probably the most unprofessional we've ever been.
I think that what he's trying to do right now is accurately recreate his experience watching the episode. Like, he leaves multiple times.
Well, I just corrected my gain, which is good. I just noticed I had my gain way down low, so
nothing was working. Nothing is correct.
No, everything was corrected. It's just I'll have to do some extra work in post production with my voice recording, but that's all right.
I would like to see the life form that emerges from the ship again. I do not like this.
Excuse me. Well, that made me cough. Like, that made me swallow my...
Dear Lord, sir. I do not enjoy this episode. And it's not so much I don't know. Like, at first it was the idea of this life form kind of coming into existence that I didn't like. Now, though, that I've come to realize that it's because of a very specific reason and what have you, I'm kind of over it, and I think what I dislike is the way they use the holodeck and all of that action. It's like the execution of the story that I don't like. I would like to see the life form again. Like, give this thing a kind of some sort of payoff. Show us this life form.
Would it be a lower decks like to see again?
I don't. At this point, I don't
or
care. I think Lower Decks is going to do some very serious things. They're just going to treat them, or maybe like come at it from like a comedic angle. But I don't think it's going to be like... I've seen people online talk about how Lower Decks is going to be a spoof or a parody of Star Trek. I really don't think so. It can still be very significant, even if it's a parody. I think that it is so exciting to me. Star Trek 4 is a perfect example of that. It's a comedy movie, but the themes coming across are very serious and very important, and the messages, right? I know we all refer to it as like the whale movie. The movie with the whales, but there's a not only a positive but an important message being shared in that movie, and I think Lower Decks has the potential to do that.
Yeah, and in general, I think comedy. There is an aspect of comedy that kind of is prevalent throughout all of a lightheartedness, I guess is a better word, but like there is a lightheartedness that some would consider essential when you're doing the recipe of what makes Star Trek great. You know, like, is that you have to have, you know, that kind of lightheartedness every now and again done really well. And I think that comes from the original series, which we're about to go into, and I think we'll find out for sure. But I feel like more often than not, at the end of the episode, they were making jokes at on the bridge and having a humorous moment, sometimes at the expense of Spock or the situation or whatever, you know. So I think and it's always kind of Data kind of represents that and you see that again. I love that. Not to go back to that opening. It seems like the thing that I keep focusing on this episode, but you see that in the opening, like there is that aspect of humor of Data's innocence, and also, how he's like making mistakes all the time and like has to learn, and there's always like a humorous quality to those things.
The best joke I think in this one is when he's holding the car. It cuts back to him still trying to repair what's going on with the ship, but he's accessing it through the drain, which is in the middle of the street,
and he's blocked that was a great moment. You're right, that was a great moment. That was fun.
I like that.
That was a cool moment of. They did that in the episode Thine Own Self, where like he's just casually holding the. Data's superpowers are really evident, like in those kinds of moments. You forget that he's capable of such extraordinary strength and stuff like that. But yeah, I love.
Yeah, he has that natural reaction. Get out of the way of the car, and then when he realizes that the car's just going to insist, he's like, I can just hold it. It doesn't matter.
And it doesn't matter. It was so cool. I forgot about that. That's right.
And it's actually a clever solution in the sense that if he had taken the car and thrown it at a building or something, maybe the holodeck would have generated a new one.
It's true.
And thrown it back at him. So he's like, no, I'm just going to hold it here. And the stupid driver's just trying to gas over him. But
I have to say that like the other thing I liked is I've always been a big fan of these kind of like mysteries. One thing that I did like when I was rewatching this episode is, even though I couldn't remember half the things about it, you're starting to trigger some memories here. But one of the things I remember liking about the rest of this episode, actually, which I'm curious what the Doctor will say, but is the whole fact that it was like all a big metaphor, or like how the holodeck became this like kind of like visual layer of what was happening to the Enterprise itself, like and the brick and all these like weird symbols and things like that, and vertiform city.
I think the execution of that is very, very poor, to be honest. Like, okay, so they start off by
the idea.
I see what you mean. I see the concept, but they start off by saying that the ship is using the holodeck as its kind of imagination center, right? And that I think works. It's like, okay, the ship has become sentient in some way, some shape or form. It's becoming a life form. It wants to do things. It has objectives now, goals, right? But it has to kind of project those goals or those ideas. You kind of think about something before you do it. Like even without noticing, you'll think about what you're going to do before you do it. And so the ship has to do that, and it's doing it. It's using the holodeck to do that, and I'm like, okay, fine. So it's got all of these kind of metaphorical, symbolic ways of showing what it wants to go to vertiform city. They're assembling the puzzle, but then all of a sudden it seems like the writers kind of forget the direction they took, because at some point it changes. At some point when they hit the brakes on the train, it hits the brakes on the ship immediately. Everything is connected and linked, and then it almost becomes instead of being a projection of the ship imagining what it should do, it becomes a direct representation of what the ship is doing at that moment. You know what I mean? Because all of a sudden Picard starts giving the orders like, you shut this down on the holodeck, or stop this person on the holodeck, or do that on the holodeck, and it has a direct effect on what's going on the ship. Whereas before that, they were explaining that it's kind of like a subconscious imagination, or like an idea. You know what I mean? It's strange how I think
that's what I meant. Is I think that's maybe in practice it didn't work out so well, but on paper, in theory, it's a really interesting idea. And the reason why it interests me so much is because I think you guys both know. I know the Doctor knows, but I'm very interested in technology and like artificial intelligence and things like that. And I created actually a story. It's in the vaults. It's unfinished, about a sentient starship in the future that humans use to escape a dying Earth and go. It's a generational ship, so over multi-generations. It's so huge. It's massive. It's like the size of like New York City or whatever. It can house a whole population, and that ship takes care of everything. But it's also intelligent. It has like needs and desires and feelings that are motivated by its programming, of course, to keep this like civilization alive or whatever, but it can act on its own at times so that it can make decisions that would preserve its objectives. And so that idea I thought would be like I think Star Trek kind of grazes on this a little bit here and in other episodes where the Enterprise kind of gains this like autonomy. Doctor Who is the only show I know of that 100% has a ship that's alive. Like the TARDIS itself is a being, a sentience, a life form, an intelligence, and it's a machine at the same time that serves a very real purpose, which it's a transportation vehicle, right? Like it's, so here in Star Trek, I think we graze on this, but what I would love, and I know this is like probably too far out there, and now that I'm talking about it, it's never going to happen, but in the next Star Trek series, if the Enterprise F had a computer that was like interactive in this way, that it was like a data type intelligence, but not physical, and you had to interact with the ship in much the same way that you would interact with another intelligence. And that would be an interesting thing. I mean, like, of course, there's all kinds of problems and room for, like, errors. Like, if the ship doesn't want to go to warp, what do you do? Like, if it's throwing a tantrum, like, if it's having a bad day, if it's depressed, I don't think it's a
good idea for Star Trek. I think that's not ethically or morally adaptable to Star Trek. Like, I'm going to be honest, even what we saw in Star Trek Picard with the robot slaves on Mars, even that, to me, is still really iffy. I'm not sure about that. I don't know why or who made the decision to do that.
Well, you have to look at what does that parallel, what kind of allegory are they trying to... What's allegorical about that, right? Like, I think that's what you have to like look at.
Well, we've already had all the allegory we need with Data's trial, and we didn't have to actually physically
We've had all the allegory. I've just about had enough of this allegory.
No, but that's not what I mean. What I mean is we've been able to address these issues without being so obvious, and step back in a sense, and be able, like, we've done this without being able, like, without putting actual slaves in our show.
My only counterpoint to that is that I feel, and this is just a personal feeling, that we are on the verge, and it may not be something that I see in my vibrant lifetime, but I believe before, if I live to be of an old age, that in that time we will see the emergence, of a genuine artificial intelligence in which you can interact, and it will have responses that are not predictable, but that would be like, cohesive in some way, not just random programming choices, but actual responses that it creates on its own. And like, the Turing test, I believe we'll see the first computer that can pass the Turing test in my lifetime, or at least I hope. And I think that Star Trek needs to keep evolving the narrative to a sense, because we do tend to, as a society, mechanize, or, we still tend to, like, put people in a box of, like, well, that's not a, that, I guess until I guess until humans figure out human rights and, like, make it, like, definitive, we'll always have these kinds of allegories, and they'll always relate to another intelligence or an artificial or, different intelligence. So I don't know. I feel like that's a never-ending story allegory. Personally,
Star Trek's done this allegory or this story other times. I think it's done it much better than this episode, the idea of an AI gaining some sentience on the Enterprise. So I didn't see a particular need for Next Generation to do another one like that. Go there again, and especially I thought it. I even thought the episode came off a bit cheap. I didn't find the Chihuly Erd piece to be particularly interesting.
I hope Dale Chihuly listens to this episode.
Yeah, right.
I do agree that the design for the art by Chihuly is great. The design of the life form is not.
Which, by the way, we don't think one or the other were inspired. That was just totally made up on our.
Yeah, we're actually insulting Chihuly by calling it Chihuly because it's really Chihuly artwork is much better than this. It's much more awe-inspiring.
It's just something the doctor said that was funny.
Yeah, it's just very uninspiring. I mean, we've been here, we've done that. I didn't find any of the performances to be particularly noteworthy. Although I did find the ending where Data asks the question that you indicated in the summary. How did you know it was all going to turn out right? And Picard was very cavalier with his response. I found that to be almost a Captain Kirk kind of response.
It's kind of out of character for Picard. It actually reminded me much more of the Star Trek Picard than the Star Trek The Next Generation, because in Star Trek Picard, he almost seems like, and I know this is Sir Patrick Stewart's ego coming through, but Star Trek Picard and Star Trek Picard feels
let's not challenge that ego. But
he's got a bigger ego in Star Trek Picard than he has in The Next Generation, to me.
Mm-hmm.
You mean Sir Patrick Stewart, or the character has
the
a bigger
character?
ego?
The character.
Yes, I agree with
but
that.
because
okay.
he's putting more of himself into the character, you know what I mean? And in
He's
this,
fleshing
at
that
the end
out
of this
a little
episode, he feels like that because he's almost like, oh well, it's gonna be a good life form because we're good, Like he has total confidence, and I know that he's trying. I suppose it was trying to be. He has total confidence in the people under his command, and it's a beautiful thing in that sense. But it kind of came across as like, I mean, it comes from us. Can't be bad, right?
Yeah, it's alright.
I want to point out. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No. I totally agree with what Sean is saying. I thought it was very cavalier. I mean, I would compare it to Kirk. Kirk has moments like that in the original show that you think to yourself, "Oh my God, is he gonna stay captain of the Enterprise?" I mean, that was a pretty ballsy decision there, and he stays. So
it's true.
Same here with Picard. I thought it was, especially when compared to what we just saw in Masks. Where I thought Picard was a little more measured and a lot more analytical in trying to understand what was going on, and even his reaction where he's like, I will not have my ship turned into an alien temple. He was angry, but at the same time allowing it to run its course. But here in this episode, he was totally like, no, give it space, let the Enterprise turn into whatever, and nobody seems to care. Riker doesn't object. Everyone's just very blasé about it. I don't know.
Best guess what became
shocking.
Best guess what became of the Star Child that the Enterprise produced. Best guess. What happened? Like now in Star Trek, during Star Trek Picard, where is this thing and what's it doing? What's it off doing? Best guess. Come on.
It's the Lovecraftian creature that came through the.
That's what it is. I love that. I love that. That's a really good answer. Sean, do you have
I don't know.
What would you like?
Maybe it got captured by something. Maybe it wasn't as smart as Picard thought, and it just crashed somewhere.
It just died.
It just died.
5 minutes later, died. That would make a very good animated short treks.
Well, that's what we were talking about.
They find this thing, like this
a great
thing
lower decks.
That would
I'm
make
gonna
a
put
good lower decks episode.
the vertiform life form. I'm gonna add that to your thread on Twitter, Sean.
The vertiform life form just crashed on this planet somewhere. And now there's like a tribe, like a tribe of very primitive beings that are like living inside it, because it continued to grow. It became huge, but then it crashed.
Oh,
and then others are just living in it.
Oh my gosh!
So it's a giant planet-sized Chihuly sculpture,
or it could just be like a city. It could actually turn into vertiform city.
It turns into a city. Yeah, people live in the tubes and what have you.
It's Silicon City. Oh my god!
It became Vertiform City.
Oh my god.
The irony of
We're
it
so
all.
we just nailed this episode. We just nailed this episode of Starfleet.
I'm going to
we
talk
found
about
the
something.
light in this terrible episode.
I'm going to talk about something very specific, and I don't know if you guys caught on to it, but I'm going to try and give you context. There's the moment where they're in engineering, and so there's Geordi and Data, and I don't know who. I think they're talking to Picard or Riker. Anyway, and they're explaining what's going on to the ship and what have you, and I feel like Data patronizes Geordi because he says, "Geordi, doesn't this remind you of anything?" And then you have this moment, and Geordi's like, "Oh yeah, it looks like the positronic brain, like your network." And I'm like, couldn't Data just say, "It reminds us of my positronic network"? He's like, he has to do this. Hey Geordi, do you remember that? Like, I mean, no, is it just me?
Well, isn't this
All that
Data
was
trying
left
to
was
become
for
more
him to
human,
go,
right?
"Are you blind, Geordi? Don't you see?
I mean,
it's a
yeah,
positronic brain."
You see this thing every week. Are you blind?
Wow, we descended. We possibly just made the worst joke on Starfleet Boy ever, and the best joke. That was very good.
It felt
I
like he
feel
was
like-
patronizing Geordi, but I felt
I
like
think
that
he
was a bit
was.
mean.
I think
That was
he
a bit
was.
mean. You didn't have to do it that way. You could have just said, "It resembles my positronic brain," and then everyone would have caught on.
We should ask Brent Spiner about that scene.
I think you played it that way. You think you performed it that way.
Was that improvised or was that real? It's like one of those things. According to Memory Alpha, this was Cliff Bowles' 25th and last episode that he directed, and he's the most prolific Star Trek TNG director.
Really?
did
25. That's basically a season.
Yeah, he's done a season's worth
Wow.
he's directed a season's worth of episodes. The Emergent Life Form was a CGI animation created by Amblin Entertainment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and Steven Spielberg's production company that also worked on Sequest, as you know, Doctor. And the McPherson Nebula was an old creation of visual effects supervisor Dan Curry, who had been experimenting with laser light on plastic surfaces. The nebula that I forgot. I apologize to that person.
No, I think they're talking about the second nebula.
Oh, okay.
There's a nebula that the ship goes through, but then they go to... That's a scene I enjoyed. I enjoyed it when... And I wrote this down, but I just can't find it. There's a moment where they're on the bridge, and there's Riker and Picard, and Geordi's explaining to them, like, oh, well, if we're looking for, what is it, Verta particles...
Vertiform City. Right,
well, we're looking for these particles. We have to go to this place, and he says there's a nebula or there's a pulsar, and he kind of presents both places. And I like the fact that Picard's like, well, you choose. Like, what do you reckon is the best place? Yeah, your call. And he says, I think we should go to the nebula. He says, all right, sit across the nebula. I like that because I think that in my experience, bosses or leaders that I've known, they don't really do that.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really let you choose because they don't have like that total full confidence in you, and you know that if Geordi has established that this might not go the way they want, but you can feel that even if it didn't go the way they wanted, he wouldn't be blamed. He wouldn't be held personally responsible for choosing, oh, you chose the nebula, we should have gone to the pulsar, right? I like that.
It shows great confidence Picard has in Geordi. Yeah, that's a good thing. I do want to point out the actor who plays the conductor.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. He's great.
Did you guys talk about him at all, or?
No, he's
No.
great though.
He's a very noted. He's a noted character actor, but he's probably best known to Sahel and I as Santa Claus in Santa Claus the movie.
That's right.
I think that was
Thomas
probably-
Kopashi, right?
Yeah, and he's in a ton of stuff. He's a great actor. He's done westerns. It was.
He looks like Santa Claus no matter what he's doing.
He's a very. I was.
Oh no, the conductor, not the engine. I named the engineer. Sorry, the conductor was David Huddleston. Sorry, my bad.
How dare you?
That's Santa Claus.
Right, from
Not
Santa
Tom.
Claus the movie, yeah.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's the only, that's the last good thing I have to say about this episode.
Uh, I'm going to point out a few more facts because I actually looked them up because I was curious about it. Stock footage from the classic film Murder on the Orient Express was used for the train.
From the film?
From the film, yes.
The Albert Finney film?
Yes. Bull recalled that he had to plead with Rick Berman for a close-up of the wheels braking, while Berman maintained that this would violate point-of-view logic in that no one would be on the holodeck to see this. Bull remarked, "The sparks coming and all that, I had to have it. So sometimes for the drama's sakes, you get to break the rules. So I got away with it once." And so he actually got an actual... That's kind of a neat thing to do.
That's a Paramount movie? I didn't know that.
I don't know if it's a Paramount movie. It must be. But, he's going to go... He has it on his shelf, of course. So he's going to go pull it out and see.
So not only he decided to break the rules of perspective, but he also had to go and fetch the footage from another movie in order to do so.
But
I would have been Berman.
Connection.
I would have said big no.
But it's a great connection. It looks like Berman did say no, and it looks like Cliff Bull pulled out all the stops to get it.
He got it done.
He got it done.
My boy.
Cliff Bull went against Berman, pulled out all the stops, and got it done. He's a hero.
There's the moment where they enter the train and I hate this episode so much, the Royale.
Oh.
And there's a moment where Worf,
Data,
and Riker go into the bloody train, and I'm like, oh, this is just the Royale again.
I like the Royale better.
Hot damn!
There was a murder. At least there was a murder mystery there. There was a body. There was something, like it was something interesting. This is just.
Would you classify this episode as
the
avant-garde?
Royale is self-contained?
Is it enough to go avant-garde? Yeah.
What? So?
Oh, I was asking if this episode you would classify it as an avant-garde, an example of avant-garde. No.
No, not at all. Why? You're trying to find a niche for this other than crap, and it's a crap episode. It really is.
Okay, so this is not. Is this so bad it's good or not even?
No, it's not. There's nothing to this.
Keystone City.
Can I say the scene I hate the most? The
Yes.
one where the bricks fall on Troy that should have killed her.
Oh, that was so shit.
That was the shittiest part of this episode.
I don't understand why it looks like there's a door and windows behind the wall as well.
And it went nowhere. It meant nothing at the end. The
That's
number
nowhere.
and everything.
That's nothing.
That's right.
It just doesn't mean anything. It's just stupid. Can we just rate it and move on?
Yes, we can. We've come to that point almost, but I just want to read a couple more that I think you would like.
I don't think he's gonna like them, but go ahead.
Keystone City was Paramount's standing New York City set.
Yeah, you said that.
You did? Okay, never mind. Well, the train set was a reuse from the movie Bram Stoker's Dracula, and that's the only other fact that I thought was interesting.
Really? I didn't know.
Yes, I'm telling. See, there's things. There's like some behind the scenes things. There's.
Not even
I just want
interesting.
So everything interesting happened behind the scenes.
Everything interesting happened in other movies and shows.
It did. It's Cliff Bull's 25th and last episode. He's the most prolific director.
It was fed up. Once he'd done this one, he was like, "Nah, I can't do anymore."
Ron Moore
right?
said, "I think that holodeck stuff is a riot. The recreation of the Orient Express alone is worth the price of admission." Do you guys agree?
No. No, I've seen much better versions of the Orient Express.
Like on Doctor Who, maybe? The 12th Doctor?
Sure.
Oh, okay. Well,
What's confusing is the way they executed this episode. Like they take the. No, I don't want to throw shade on the director here, but he took a really long time to establish that there was a cowboy on the Orient Express, right? Like like they filmed the boots and then they go all the way up and then it's a cowboy. It's like, I don't know. It's like, do we need to spend that much time establishing that these different programs are mixing together? And they're not even. They are different programs in the sense, but like they're all Earth. Like there's no Klingon things going on. They could have been like a really varied program. It is all Earth history. They don't have any science fiction. Like, they don't have any science fiction or future programs in their holodecks in their time. Like, what would the future be to them? And then we don't have any alien programs. Like, there's no Klingon things. There's no one with a bat'leth.
Wow, that is a topic worthy of your little your Trek talks. What is the future
Of the future.
to people on Star Trek?
Yeah,
Oh,
What
I
is
love
their
that.
future? What do they think is their future?
I propose that
That
this
is
group
a
here
hell of a
be on that
subject.
discussion.
Damn,
Okay, we'll
that's
do
a
that.
deep one.
that'll
Nice.
be a talk.
Look,
We'll do
we
that.
found more value came from this episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. All right, it's time to give a rating. I think we've exhausted all engines here, right? Like, I think we've covered it all that can be covered. Is there any final words on this episode? I give it a 5.5.
Oh, wow.
Well, that's low for you.
Yeah.
It is low for me.
That's like a minus 10 in normal people's ratings, isn't it?
Right?
So that's the equivalent of a minus 10, isn't it?
Oh my goodness, you're making me cough today.
I give it a 3.
Wow. That's really low. I really wanted season 7 to like hit it out of the park, but I forgot about episodes like this. It's not all perfect.
So, I have to ask you, Sean, why not a 2? Why a
Whoa.
3? What
well,
elevates it to a 3?
before you answer, is your rating a 2, Doctor?
Yeah, I'm a 2.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, go
That's actually the number I had in my head. I mean, I'll give a 1 to any show where the actors show up and act and give some kind of a performance. Which, I mean, obviously,
I think there's it's not an episode. There are episodes where it's clearly no one gave a shit, right? It's like, oh, they slapped 2 storylines together that were lying around. A few actors showed up, but they sent everyone on vacation. They only have like 2 actors out of like the 7, right? Like, this kind of stuff happens, and like they didn't make the effort to like go build a set or find some footage or do anything. Like, it's just like it's like a bottle episode on a ship and that's it. There are episodes like this, but this one has effort. There's kind of effort to it, and there are certain interactions that I enjoy. Like this, as I said, there was the on the bridge with Geordie. He's got confidence in his crew. There are certain things that I kind of enjoy. I don't like the concept so much, and I think its execution is quite poor. And as you say, like the Orient Express, it's just a train. It's nothing spectacular. It's kind of bland. The being that's created was kind of you just kind of look at it, especially now that it's aging. You're like, ooh, the effects aren't even that good. So yeah, but it's not good, but it's not it ain't no 50 Shades of what was it, Shades of Grey.
All right.
Which I suppose has an excuse for existing, that one, but there was a strike. But
So a
Right.
2, a 3, and a 5.5, which I think it's safe to say we can give it a 4.
I think it's lower than that.
How can it be lower than that? The 5.5 pulls the...
See,
Why don't you
that,
do the
that
math?
0.5 that you threw in there, that is a calculated attempt on your part.
To compensate.
Yes, I know what you're doing. I may not be good at math, but I understand.
3.5. Is
There-
what?
Oh, really? It's not
Yeah.
4. It doesn't even make it to a 4. Oh, that's sad. All right,
You
so
thought your 0.5 would work, but it
I did.
doesn't.
it doesn't do it.
You think he's that terrible? You think
Yeah.
he's like that?
Yeah, he
It's
throws
true.
those 0.5s just to
I'm
get
admitting.
it.
I'm admitting that I'm that
Why?
terrible.
Okay, why? My question is why? Why do you?
Isn't it clear by now that how much I love Star Trek: The Next Generation? Like, why
So
do you have to ask?
You have to save every single episode.
I have to give it some. Have I ever given it 0 on this show? I don't think I have.
Yeah,
have I?
we've had.
I have. We've had
We
zeros.
did. We've done recently. We did one.
Did Lutan get a 0? I think Lutan
Sub
got a
Rosa.
0.
The one where Geordie falls in love with.
Oh, did I give it a 0?
No, but it was
I don't
a
think
low.
I had. It was a low, very low
It was
score.
a low one. Yeah.
There's just something about time and Star Trek: The Next Generation that it endears more to my heart. So yes, I do admit that I do try to save every episode because I do think that there's something in every episode to be saved.
You're the Noah of Next Generation.
The Noah.
I have
Hail Starfleet Boy's arc.
I want to know, all right? And you might not be able to answer this because it's complicated. But if Star Trek: The Next, like if we were doing this the same way we were doing it for Star Trek Picard for the Next Generation, like the Next Generation's coming out, it's new, it's fresh, and we're doing all of these discussions and we're doing these podcasts and we're rating the episodes, would they all get tens like Picard?
I knew you were going in this direction.
Yes.
It's because of Star Trek: The Next Generation
that
and
Picard
my love
gets
for
the
it
tens?
that Picard gets a lot of tens.
Oh, okay.
So no, I don't think that would be the case. But I will say, who knows? Like I have no way of knowing. That's an alternate reality.
I disagree because I was there prior to this show.
You experienced.
It was always a 10 for him. Everything.
No, that's not true.
Everything
that is 100%.
Was always a 10.
That's not true. I did always try to say, the one thing I'm consistent on is I've always tried to save the show. Like when it's bad, I have a knight in shining armor syndrome for this show, and I always try to come in and I don't even do it for DS9. I don't do it for
No, that's true. You don't.
It's true. I don't do it for DS9. I don't do it for Voyager, Enterprise.
You don't even acknowledge Enterprise.
I do now. I acknowledge. There was a time where I didn't acknowledge Enterprise. But TNG, for some reason, you've nailed it.
Will lower decks get like special bonus points just because it's called lower decks?
Anything that's directly related to or a spin-off of TNG for some reason.
Okay, so if it's not based upon Star Trek, if it's based upon Star Trek: The Next Generation, like Picard was, then it's like an immediate win for you.
It's like it's an immediate like, oh, okay, I have to be interested in this.
There you go, CBS. You have to do a spin-off for every Next Generation character.
It's true. There has to be.
Every episode will always get tens.
We have the notes. We have done a lot of work. Star Trek Pasteur ready to go. CBS. The Doctor and I have been waiting for 20 years. Arguably for 20 years for this moment.
I do still have the notes.
I know. We have.
We had.
Let me just tell you something. We had the first bisexual character. The engineer was a Deltan. He was bisexual. Although
that's the same race as
Ilea.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's irresistible on top of that sexually. Ooh. And our engineer was not celibate. No, he was. I think he took a vow of celibacy as well. But there were all these like interesting characters aboard the Pasteur. There was like a huge. You want to talk about dark Star Trek? The Federation was on the verge of collapse from terrorist factions in our show. It was like really, it was far out. I feel like that show.
It sounds like Star Trek today.
It does. I have a feeling someone got a hold of our notes.
Ours was better. One final note. I totally not Star Trek related. I do want to say Little Richard passed away today, and I want to make mention he was one of my favorite musicians.
A wop ba da doo da, a wop ba ba boo.
All right. And on that note, I gotta go.
Wait. We got to do it properly. All right. Live long and prosper, everybody. And we'll see you next time. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me.